Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're plunging into a specific source, a partner spotlight article.
Yeah, this one's focused on BitHotel and its collaboration with the SKALE Network.
Right, and our mission, I guess, for this deep dive is to unpack how this partnership, according to this article, really drove significant growth for BitHotel.
They mention hitting over 50,000 daily active users within about a year. So pretty substantial numbers reported.
Okay, and just to set the stage, how does the source describe BitHotel itself? It's not just a typical play-to-earn thing.
No, not according to this piece. It frames it as like a pixel art social gaming platform. Think virtual Second Life ambitions. You've got customizable rooms, social areas, mini games, community building, NFT collecting, the whole package, aiming for more than just, clicking buttons for tokens.
Got it. So aiming for real interaction, a place people actually hang out.
That seems to be the idea presented.
Okay, so the core question this article tackles seems to be, how do they pull off this growth? And critically, what role did scale play in that story?
Yeah, and the source jumps pretty quickly into a key challenge that a game like BitHotel would naturally face.
All right, let's dig into that challenge. The source mentions BitHotel's gameplay involves a lot of real-time stuff, yeah.
A ton of it.
Yeah.
Like fishing tournaments, races, players constantly decorating or upgrading their rooms, trading items back and forth.
These aren't like once-a-day activities, it's constant interaction.
Exactly. And the article points out that every single one of those actions, catching a fish, finishing a race, making a trade, all this stuff generates activity.
Activity that normally needs a blockchain transaction.
That's the implication. And on most blockchains, that means gas fees, right?
Every time.
Right. And the article's point is that this sheer volume of transactions, just inherent to how the game works, would make the costs prohibitively expensive on most blockchains.
Yeah, you can't really have a fluid social game if every little interaction costs money. It just breaks the experience.
Totally. Imagine paying a micro fee every time you cast a fishing line or waved at someone. It just wouldn't work for that kind of immersive, constant play.
So that was the big hurdle they needed to overcome to even make their game design feasible on-chain.
And that, according to this article, is where scale enters the picture. It's positioned as the solution they landed on.
The solution specifically for that cost barrier.
And the key benefit the article just keeps hammering home is zero gas fees.
Not just low, but explicitly zero. They make a point of that.
They really do. The source says BitHotel joined Scale back in February 2023 and claims that this move basically transformed what was possible for them.
Okay, transformed. How so? What did zero fees actually let them do, according to the source?
Well, it meant they didn't have to worry about costs when deciding what information to put on the blockchain.
Okay.
The article says they could now record every fishing catch, race result, and social interaction without worrying about transaction costs.
So it wasn't just about tracking the big stuff, like who owns which valuable NFT. It allowed for tracking the small, everyday game events, too.
That seems to be the core idea. The source uses this analogy like finding a secret passage in blockchain development. Others are stuck paying tolls on the main road, but BitHotel found this, fee-free shortcut.
A shortcut that enabled a whole different approach.
Exactly. It led them to what the source calls their on-chain everything strategy.
On-chain everything. That sounds ambitious. What does the article say that actually means in practice?
It means because the scale fee structure allowed it, they decided to put virtually everything on-chain.
Like what kinds of things?
Things you might normally keep in a regular centralized game database. Player experience points, leaderboard positions, even individual minigame wins and losses. Really granular stuff.
So it's not just that you own your fishing rod NFT on-chain. It's that the act of using it, the results you get, the XP you earn from it that's also recorded on-chain.
That's what the source claims, yes. And they describe the benefit poetically. The data gets the permanence of a tattoo, but none of the regret.
Okay, I like that analogy. But why?
Right.
What's the actual advantage of putting all that seemingly minor data on-chain?
The main benefit highlighted is enabling genuine, verifiable competition.
How so?
Well, if your leaderboard position is based on data that's transparently and immutably stored on the blockchain, you can't easily fake it or hack your way up.
Right. It adds trust.
Exactly. When you win that race or top that leaderboard, the result is immortalized on scale. It's verifiable proof of your achievement.
Which is, one of the big promises of blockchain in gaming, but often gets watered down because tracking everything costs too much.
Precisely. Developers usually face this tough choice: put meaningful gameplay data on-chain and potentially price out users with fees, or keep it off-chain for affordability but lose some of that core blockchain trust and verifiability.
And the article suggests BitHotel, using Scale, basically got to sidestep that dilemma.
Yeah, the source frames it like they said, why not both? And managed to have their blockchain cake and eat it too because the fee barrier was gone.
Okay, so the narrative is, challenge of high transaction costs, Scale provides zero-fee solution. This enables an on-chain everything strategy for deeper integration and verifiable gameplay. Did the article provide numbers to back this up? What about the growth?
It did. It has a section called The Numbers Don't Lie. They give some specific data points.
Let's hear them.
Okay, so on August 7th, 2024, the source states BitHotel had 10,000 daily active on-chain users, specifically on Scale.
10,000. Okay. And transactions.
Generating about 40,000 transactions per day at that point.
Right. 10K users, 40K transactions daily. What happened next?
Fast forward just over 6 months to February 15th, 2025. The numbers reported are, well, significantly higher.
How much higher?
50,000 daily on-chain users.
Wow, from 10K to 50K.
Yep. And transactions jumped from 40,000 a day to 250,000 daily.
Okay, hold on. 10K to 50K users is a 5x increase, and 40K to 250K transactions. That's more than a 6x increase.
The source calculates it as a 400% user increase and a 525% transaction jump in, just over 6 months.
That's not just steady growth, that's explosive. Suggests something really clicked.
That's certainly the impression the article gives. And it tries to put this into context beyond just Scale's own ecosystem.
How so?
It mentions BitHotel was climbing the ranks on Dapper, not just within Scale games, but across all blockchains.
Ah, okay. So gaining visibility in the wider Web3 space.
Yeah, they use this funny comparison, like watching the quiet kid from high school show up to the reunion, owning half the town, suggests they were maybe underestimated, but then showed major results.
Okay, that paints a picture. What else did the zero-fee environment enable, according to the source? Anything about who could play?
Yeah, it talks about global scale. The argument is that zero gas fees plus fast transaction confirmations remove huge barriers.
Barriers for players in certain regions.
Exactly. Think about places where even small, frequent gas fees would add up and become a real obstacle to playing a highly interactive game.
Right. It makes it unaffordable or just annoying.
The source says Scale's structure meant players from diverse regions, they specifically call out Southeast Asia and South America, could participate fully and equally without worrying about those costs impacting their gameplay loop.
So it democratized access on a global level.
That's the point being made. And they add another layer to this accessibility argument, too.
Oh, what's that?
The game itself. It's lightweight, retro pixel art graphics, and apparently a proprietary game engine, the source calls the engine Wild, means it can run reasonably well even on lower-end devices.
Ah, so it's not just financially accessible due to zero fees, but also technically accessible because it doesn't need a high-end gaming rig.
Correct. Combining those two things, low-cost barrier, low technical barrier, is presented as key to building a truly global player base.
Makes sense. Lowering friction on multiple fronts.
And the outcome described is this truly global digital community. People making friends across continents, trading items worldwide, competing globally, all supposedly without the usual blockchain friction points getting in the way.
Okay, so the source really leans into the impact of the scale tech. Zero fees enabling on-chain everything, which drives verifiable growth and allows for global reach.
Yeah.
But is the article saying it was only the tech? Is that the whole story according to them?
No, actually, it's pretty clear in acknowledging other factors. There's a section titled More Than Just Tech.
Good. Because usually success isn't just one thing. What else does it credit?
It highlights the art style itself, that retro pixel look, calls it charming, accessible, says it evokes nostalgia.
Okay, aesthetics matter.
What else? The social features are mentioned as being crucial for stickiness, making it feel less like just a game and more like a digital third place.
Like a genuine community hub. That fits the virtual Second Life idea.
Right. And the third thing they praise is the developers' handling of the in-game economy.
How so?
Finding that balance,
Yeah.
making it free-to-play friendly enough to attract new people while still offering real incentives and value for those who invest in the game's tokens or NFTs. That's always a tricky tightrope to walk in Web3 games.
Yeah, balancing accessibility with reward for investment. So the source sees it as a mix. Good tech foundation plus good game design, community focus, and economic tuning.
Exactly. It uses an analogy, compares the whole thing to a perfectly seasoned dish,
Meaning.
meaning no single ingredient, not even the foundational tech like Scale, overpowers the others. It's the combination that works.
Okay, that sounds like a more balanced perspective. So, based on all this, how does the source frame BitHotel's future prospects?
It suggests they're positioned for potential breakout mainstream successes.
Big words.
Yeah. It holds them up as kind of a proof point, showing that blockchain games can prioritize user experience and not get bogged down by the tech if they have the right infrastructure underneath.
And it ends with a couple of questions for the reader to chew on.
It does. Firstly, just how big can they get? How high their ceiling actually is. But the second question is maybe more interesting philosophically.
Which is,
At what point does a blockchain game start being just a wildly successful game that happens to use blockchain?
when does the label blockchain game become secondary to just being a successful game?
Exactly. When the tech fades into the background because the experience is just good.
Okay, so let's pull it all together. What's the main takeaway this specific source wants us to leave with after reading their spotlight?
I think the core message is that BitHotel on Scale represents something supposedly rare and precious in the Web3 space. A promise kept.
A promise kept, meaning,
Actual usage, real growth, verifiable activity, not just hyper speculation about future potential. It's presented as a case study of Web3 tech delivering tangible results now.
right. So summarizing the key points from this article, zero gas fees were the crucial enabler, allowing this deep on-chain everything approach. This approach, according to the source's numbers, correlates directly with major user and transaction growth.
Yep, 400% user growth, 525% transaction growth in about 6 months.
Which in turn enabled a global community by removing cost barriers. And importantly, while the tech was foundational,
It wasn't the only factor. Good game design, the social stickiness, and balanced economics were also key ingredients, according to this account.
okay, so for you listening, the final thought this source leaves us with is really about the end game for this kind of technology in gaming.
Yeah, this idea that maybe the biggest success is when the blockchain part becomes almost invisible.
When it's so seamless, so integrated, that players aren't thinking, I'm playing a blockchain game, they're just playing a game they enjoy.
Exactly. It stops being defined by the underlying tech and is just defined by the experience itself.
Something to definitely think about as we see more of these digital worlds being built.